everyone. Thank you for showing up here, and all kudos to Harmony One and her DAO for enabling young women to attend this conference and ensuring diversity. Thanks to them, I'm standing here today and giving this talk about female entrepreneurship in the NFT space. And English is my fourth language, so I'm going to use some flashcards, so sorry about that. I'm just going to mention that in the beginning. This talk highlights several points that demonstrate why the work of these organizations is so crucial now that we're building the future of Web3. Today in Web3, the builders are mostly men, the users are mostly men, and the owners are mostly men. If Web3 is our future, a look at the dangers and the shortcomings of a male-dominated world becomes obvious. The dangers of lacking representation can never be emphasized enough. As a few examples, let's have a look at how the physical world is tailored to men and how it can be inefficient and lacking because of this. As of now, we have an imperfect facial recognition technology which is less effective at identifying people of color and women in comparison to Caucasian men. This technology depends on algorithms to make facial matches, and those algorithms are more robust for male Caucasian faces than any other group. This is because the databases contain more data on Caucasian men than women and people of color. And this, as we know, creates unintentional biases and is a threat to security and freedom. I can literally open my mom's MetaMask and have done this several times as women of color are those who, okay, cool. Are those with the highest rates of false positives. The lack of female representation when it comes to product design also put lives at risk, and this is really important to emphasize now that we're creating products of the Web3. Another example can be how safety features in cars are tailored for men, and in that way are ensuring that women, when they are involved in car crashes, are 47% more likely to be seriously injured and 17% more likely to lose their lives. And this is because once we started to create the designs for these, it was men who were involved, and we've been trying to combat these statistics for decades, but it's really hard when the foundation has been set. Now let's have a look at Facebook, or Meta, as they unfortunately changed their name to, which is one of the leading forces in Web 2 and are betting hard on the metaverse. The lack of understanding of diverse needs was witnessed in Facebook's metaverse platform when female avatars experienced being harassed within the 31st minutes they were on the platform. Facebook, or Meta, stated that open standards, privacy, and safety needs to be built into the metaverse from day one, and that you really want to emphasize these principles from the start. This was not accomplished and is really unfortunate, as we're trying to involve a portion of the society who now might be more hesitant to partake, as they have experienced that this space may not be free from violence. These are instances of how the world as we know it today is built by men and for men. Women are not even taken into consideration, which reveals the extent to which they are not present in the process of building the structures of society. And this has been proven to be inefficient and even deadly for women, and now we're unfortunately witnessing the same unfortunate pattern once it comes to the metaverse and digital world. As seen here, I don't know, as an owner of a physical NFT gallery, I'm really up to date with what's going on in the NFT marketplaces, and it's really common to see that the floor NFTs of different avatars are usually those with darker pixels or female traits. So it's kind of indicating who's in the market right now, as most people want to have an avatar that represents themselves. And this is a pattern that's been going on for a long time. Men are leading the way when it comes to the metaverse, and if women don't begin to have a say in the creation process, the inequality and patriarchal norms are doomed to infect the digital world as well. And we did have a panel discussion at Harmony One's Women in the Web3 event earlier this week, and what some of those amazing panelists also mentioned, that this is not a pick at men at all. It's a pick at women. Web3 is one of the most open and friendly spaces to create, and that it's where true equality really is guaranteed, as you can stay anonymous and no one will know your gender when you're creating a company or likewise. The Web3 is, and when it comes to NFT sales, 16% of these are going to women. So they are benefiting from the NFT art marketplace way much more than the fine art market, where they only stand for 2% of the annual sales. So this is something we as a gallery is really happy about. But again, 16% is a lot more than 2%, but it still is not equal to the female portion of the population, which is 15%. So we shouldn't be celebrating too early. So what we've done at Verse Gallery is trying to combat, as someone who has a degree in civil engineering and cultural studies, I've been really curious about how to engage more people that look like me. And it hasn't worked being really technical this way so far. So since 2019, I tried to create a space where we could meet. Until now, it's only been Facebook groups like, hey, come over on lunch and we can talk about blockchain, or we can talk about crypto, or since 2020, it was NFTs. And the people that usually would meet up were men, and I ended up trying to search for funding to create a gallery for NFTs as a way to include people that might have not been included subconsciously. So what we have written outside of the gallery is Verse Gallery, and the people that come by might never heard of an NFT before, but the second they leave the place, they're convinced that they should partake in this market and be more educated. So that's really rewarding. We didn't even market our opening, but 170 people showed up. We were only having posters around the city saying, welcome to the metaverse, and it was a QR code saying the date and the address. And even the prime minister at the time of Norway came by. And that's something she was open and honest about, that this would be something that she would never be involved in. If it wasn't for a physical space that kind of invited her in. And yeah, we do see a large portion of men here as well, but for me it's still a win, because one female ended up coming to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. No, it was several more inside, but on this picture, and that's one female more than I've previously talked about NFTs with. So, yeah. Again, when in 5 years, when Web3 is more integrated, we should not have no right to say that Web3 was sexist, as we mentioned that it's open for everyone to partake and find information about, but also it's the people that are privileged enough to spend time on it and maybe go to a gallery that will learn about it. So a challenge we're still facing is how to involve a broader aspect, and that's by having educational talks about the dangers. So until now we've been having events with Samsung, who are now coming out with crypto-friendly products. We've been having events with Ledger about the security of NFTs, and we've been having Gitcoin, and we're going to host Near Protocol as well, all in the duration of 3 months. And the only thing that stopped us from doing this back in 2019 was being financed. No one wanted to finance something that had word crypto in it, and especially not a 22-year-old young woman coming in and saying that this is something that we should create in order to have more people partaking in space. But as soon as we opened up our doors and the news outlets, as we saw in the same, that's on the national news as well, as soon as they came by, all the investors are coming, the banks are coming and asking how to be a part of this and how they can invest. So it's really important to see that someone has to take the risk beforehand, all alone, until others take part and want to be in it. But again, that's something about human nature as well, that we don't want to be the one who takes the first step. And it's easier to take that step once you've seen someone else do it. And that's what we're proud to be. We're proud to do that, to be those who take the first step. And in order for others to be able to take that first step, it's really important to finance them. Coming from Norway, one of the Nordic countries who are regarded as the most progressive countries, only 1.3% of risk capital goes to female entrepreneurs. So it scares me to think about what the number is other places. Thank you.